That's that then. PV Sindhu, the joint most successful Indian athlete in the history of Olympic Games. Her campaign at Paris 2024 comes to an end. Defeated in straight games in the pre-quarterfinals by He Bingjiao of China. Sindhu was seeded 10th. He Bingjiao seeded 6th. So not too much of a difference in terms of seedings. Of course, both seasoned campaigners have played against each other many a times. But that marks her end. If you look at the whole draw, Sindhu did have the easier half, the bottom half. Of course, she would have had to face the two Chinese. If she had won this, she would have to face another higher ranked Chinese up next. But more than that, she probably would have come across her nemesis in Carolina Marin in the semis if that was to be the case. But imagine even that is, I'm saying, is the easier half, because in the top half you had the 6 players. What I'm trying to actually get to is the fact that it's become very competitive, and for Sindhu to get a medal would have been very difficult. I know a lot of people might look at it as a big shock. That's because of her past record, but coming into this Olympic, if you had been following Indian badminton, you pretty much knew that it was an outside chance if Sindhu could land a medal. If she would have, it would have been historic, because not too many people were betting for her to get a medal this time. Looking at the draw and looking at the competition that was on offer, it seemed highly unlikely, and she's faltered at the initial hurdle, which is the pre-quarter finals. Tougher tests were awaiting her if she had to make it through. But I mean, just looking back at her career, of course, as I said, one of the most successful athletes, the joint most successful in Olympic history, and she was actually chasing a historic hat-trick, because interestingly, no other woman in the history of badminton in Olympics has won 3 Olympic medals at 3 different Olympic games. 2, yes, there have been occasions of players winning 2. Sindhu also had 2. If she would have won a medal here, it would have been 3. No other player from any country would have managed 3, or has till now managed 3 medals at the Olympic Games. So she was chasing a historic first. Now she goes back. Actually, it would have been a very different feeling for her, because she's been at 2 Olympics. Rio, I was there, then at Tokyo, and now here. The first Olympics, she's going back empty-handed. Otherwise, she always landed a medal. So it's unprecedented in that. She did come. I'll get into the match details a little later. She did come and speak to the media. But what I really liked about her is general positive attitude. She was, we've seen different kind of emotions. Of course, players are disappointed. Some are not in a mood to talk. Some are distraught. Different emotions, but in Sindhu's case, very positive. Came, spoke like a professional, said that I tried my best, spoke about her tactics, but on the day she accepted that He Bingjiao was much better. So in that sense, I don't think she had any regrets when she was asked. So she wasn't really lamenting the fact that, oh, I could have done this different, that different. Yeah, a little bit here and there she did speak about, but she pointed out a few good things about the opponent. Her smashes, her defense she thought was very good, and she tried everything, she threw everything at her, but the opponent on the day was better. She was of course asked about whether she sees herself playing another Olympic Games. She said, I'm not going to say anything right now. It's 4 years, it's a long time. I think she's 27 right now. She'd be 31. Don't see too many badminton players playing singles at that age. So she was non-committal at the moment. She said, I don't want to take a call now. Now I'm done. I want to go rest for a few days, then start playing badminton again, and then think about the Olympics. Fair enough. I mean, good call, and spoke really well, like a champion, like a professional. Now let's get down to business and let's look at the game. There are few cold facts that I'm going to spit now. Watching that game up close. The first difference between the two players is clearly in terms of fitness levels. I know Sindhu is coming from an injury, so that itself pushes her back a bit, but overall, if you were to look at it, and I saw her in Rio, I was there when she won her first medal. We did see her in Tokyo. There was a bit of a dip between Rio and Tokyo. I think she was at the prime in Rio in terms of fitness. Here you could clearly see in terms of movement on the court. Now listen, Sindhu is a much bigger unit, like she's much taller, bigger, has better court reach. Whereas He Bingjiao, in that sense, shorter in stature, doesn't have. But if you were to see a movement in the court, and both players were trying to, make the other one run around a lot with their tactics, which is fantastic to see. But you could see clearly that the Chinese opponent could reach the shuttle with more ease and more comfort, even though she had lesser reach. but with more ease and comfort, simply because of a superior fitness. On some moments, when the Chinese opponent would try and place the shuttle, on some moments it did feel like that Sindhu's movement were labored. You could see that there was a difference in fitness, and that's the first thing that strikes you, and probably one of the reasons why Sindhu lost today. The second thing that really stands out is that big weapon. While Sindhu did really well on big points, and did not commit those many unforced errors, but she needed a big weapon like a serve. Like He Bingjiao had this big serve, and every time she got the chance, she applied that serve, put pressure on the opponent, and even if Sindhu returned that serve, because she took an advantageous position in that particular point, eventually she would go on to win the point. And on that front, there were occasions where you saw that He Bingjiao being stretched a bit, and you're dominating the point. That's where you want to smash and take more advantage and be on the front foot. I think that particular smash, that particular big weapon from Sindhu's game was missing, especially in the first game. Here and there things could have been different, and the match also could have gone in a different direction. It was about 8-3 in the first game. That's a big lead, 5-point lead. Eventually Sindhu caught up, but imagine, I think when the match started, she took time to really get used to the condition, and that 5-point lead proved to be very crucial in that first game, because first game was very close. Had that big lead not happened, probably Sindhu would have won the first game. Who knows where the match goes from there. So that first lead, and then whenever she was in an advantageous position, that big smash that was needed really wasn't coming from Sindhu, and I think that was the big difference between the two players. There's one point where I think the tempo completely changed. It was, I don't know, about 1917 or 1918, somewhere around that moment, where Sindhu was dominating the point. She almost had a point, but the Chinese opponent gets a return, which is just a lob as such, which is like just there to be killed. The point is almost done. It's right up on the net. The point is there to be killed. Sindhu jumps, and that's probably the rare smash that she used in the first game. Smashes it and hits it out. That was the biggest unforced error, and from there on, couple more points, she wins the game, first game, and second game, Sindhu just didn't come back in the momentum. I did see Sindhu use the smash in the second game, but that wasn't, I felt, primarily not because of part of the strategy, but more so because she wanted to shorten the points, because I think in terms of fitness levels, she was finding it tough to carry on and maintain those kind of energy levels for long rallies, whereas the Chinese opponent on that front still seemed fitter and fresher. So smashes came, but too late. Maybe some of them could have been used in the first game. The game could have been shortened. Then you would have had more energy going forward. Game could have been different. Just to let you know how long the rallies were in this game, because there are 3 courts there, and all 3 matches there, Yamaguchi was playing, Carolina Marin was playing in a different court. All of them started at the same time. Yamaguchi won her both games, her 2 games, and finished her match. And here the other match, Sindhu and Bingjiao, their game had started at the same time, and their first game was also not over when Yamaguchi finished her match and went. So there were long rallies which was tiring the players, and that suited the Chinese player more than the Indian player. So those are just the nitty-gritties of how the game really panned out. India's campaign in badminton all but over. There's only one contender, Lakshya Sen, is still there, fighting it hard, looking in good form in the quarter-finals. So we'll take it a step at a time. He's against the Chinese Taipei opponent, against whom I think he's played only once before. It's a 1-0 in favor of the Chinese Taipei opponent. He's also better seeded, but forget all those seeding. Lakshya is not seeded. He's just knocked out world number 3 as well. So on that front, I think Lakshya is your best bet. In fact, the only bet now left in badminton. I hope you're enjoying our content. If you are, give us a like on our video, share it with your other sport-loving friends, and don't forget to subscribe to Sports Today. Nikhil Nas signing off from Paris.